Today on Sports Central, we go over 5 reasons why the Florida Gators are going to make it to the college football playoff next season, and why Florida is going to go all the way in 2021. And this was a team that last season won the SEC East. Overall, very talented team in 2020, and they've got a tremendous amount of potential coming back for 2021. And why I think this team could potentially make it to the college football playoff next season is what we're going over here today. These 5 reasons will be in no particular order, and that means I'm going to go ahead and get started with number 1, which is going to be the rushing core for this team. And if you look in the backfield for Florida, I mean, this team is just stacked at the running back position. You got Dameon Pierce, he's coming back. Malik Davis is also coming back. So you got 2 running backs who combined for over 1,300 yards last season, both coming back for next season. That is going to be huge. I mean, for Florida especially, I mean, the rushing core is not going to be a problem. I mean, not even a single bit. And I definitely could see Florida having potentially one of the best rushing cores in the nation. I'd argue that this team has got the best rushing core in the SEC next season. I mean, if you look at Dameon Pierce, he's got 650 yards last season, 5 touchdowns as well. Malik Davis had a ton of yardage, nearly 700 yards on the 2020 season. So overall, rushing core looks great for this team, and really, I definitely think this is going to put them at a huge advantage in front of any other SEC opponent in the rushing core. It could be huge for this offense next season for sure. Number 2 is going to be the experience of this Florida team, and if you look at Florida last season, this was one of the most experienced teams in the SEC by far. I mean, you had Kyle Trask, of course. He was a huge impact player, definitely one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the nation, and that's why this team played so well last year, was because of how much experience they had all around. I mean, across the board, this team was so experienced, and they're losing a little bit of talent going into next season, but I mean, we're going to get into more about this in a little bit, but this team has got a tremendous amount of depth across the board, and this team, with the experience in general of a great season last year and winning the SEC East, beating Georgia, etc., that's going to help them a ton going into next season. And I mean, they were in the SEC championship game last season, so I mean, you got that off your mind. It's just a matter of winning the SEC championship now. And I think the experience for this team is definitely going to come into a huge factor for sure. I mean, once again, tons of depth across the board. The only concern that I've got about Florida next season, personally, is in the quarterback position. I mean, you got Emory Jones coming in. Well, he's been there for a while. But he's probably going to be your primary starter for next season. This is his first time ever starting full-time at the quarterback position. So it's going to be a change. It'll be an adjustment for him and for this Florida team in general. But, I mean, if Emory Jones plays well, I don't see why this team could not make a run. I mean, pretty easily. I mean, with Emory Jones, I mean, if he plays well, I mean, you've got so much talent around him. I mean, I can't see why not. Florida would be a national contender. So, I mean, Emory Jones, once again, my only main concern about this team is with him and in the quarterback position. But otherwise, experience looks great for this team. Number 3 is going to be the defensive depth for this team. And really, I mean, if you look at this team, they're only losing a few key players from 2020 defensively. Like, you got a couple, I know, on the defensive line. There's a couple in the secondary as well. But Florida had one of the best defenses in the nation last season. I mean, if you look at this team, offensively, they were outstanding. I mean, Kyle Trask and all. I mean, their defense was definitely good. And I definitely think that the defensive depth is going to be a huge positive for this team next year. And a big part of that is the recruiting. I mean, the recruiting is a huge part in gaining that depth and making sure that if you've got one injured player, that you won't be completely sold at that position. And I think that defensively, this team is definitely looking pretty good going to next season. That's definitely going to be a huge part of this team is defensively. And really, I mean, once again, tons of depth from last season. That's going to be a huge part for this team. Number 4 is going to be the recruitment for Florida. And this team does have a top 12 recruiting class for next season. That is going to be huge for this team next year. The SEC is super competitive. I mean, we all know that the SEC is more than likely or definitely, for that matter, the toughest conference in all of college football right now. And I mean, if you look at Florida here, I mean, this is a team that's really got to keep up with, say, Alabama and Georgia and LSU, who are all recruiting extremely well. And Florida is doing just that with having a great recruiting class. This will be huge for the future. You got 1 5-star coming in, 12 4-star recruits as well. So really, you're looking pretty good recruiting-wise going to next season for sure. Your 5-star is a cornerback, defensive back, Jason Marshall. He had a .985 on his recruiting rating, which is actually a really good. I mean, it's out of a 1 scale, so if that makes sense, yeah, Jason Marshall is way up there in comparison to a lot of other recruits. So watch out for him. He's going to be a huge name to watch out for in the future. Corey Collier is also coming in. He was a safety last season in high school, and he's coming in with a .95 rating, which is also excellent. I got cornerback Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He's coming in. Yeah, quite a name there, but he's going to be definitely backing up Emory Jones next season, definitely in that quarterback situation for sure. But there's no doubt on my mind that Emory Jones should be your main starter next season. I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if that's already confirmed, but I'm almost positive that if he doesn't get injured, he will be your primary starter next season. I mean, he's just been with Florida long enough to the point where he should be pretty successful at quarterback. But do watch out for Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He will be in that quarterback situation next season. And of course, you got Tyreek Sapp coming in with a .95 rating, which is also excellent. So recruiting wise, Florida looks excellent going into next season. That's going to help them a ton. Number 5 is going to be Dan Mullen. Can't forget about your head coach. I mean, he has had only success during his time with Florida. Of course, a few years back, Florida wasn't as good of a team, but Dan Mullen has had only success with this team. He's continued to be very consistent with having success. 29-9 overall record with Florida, which is huge. And I definitely think Dan Mullen is very capable of coaching a college ball playoff contender, in which Florida definitely could be. I mean, this team was a contender last season. Like, I mean, they were that close. If they could have beaten Alabama, like, there's a chance. Of course, they had 2 losses going into that Alabama game, but I mean, who knows? I mean, Alabama was so good last season. This Florida team could have definitely made a case to be in that top 5, top 6 for sure. But yeah, Florida for sure. This is a team that has got is only on the rise right now for sure. And really, I mean, having Dan Mullen as your head coach is going to be a huge advantage for the future. Heading into his 4th season with the Gators, he has been head coach of an SEC team since 2009. Of course, he was with Mississippi State before Florida, so he's been around head coaching for quite a while. So yeah, definitely he is going to be a great coach for you guys. But that being said, there are some of my 5 reasons why I think Florida could or will make the college football playoff next season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Florida, and if you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it, subscribe as well, as it does help out the channel. But once again, appreciate you guys all watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.